I have been obsessed with chocolate for, well, some would say my entire life. But I finally figured out how to turn obsession into profession about a decade ago. And you know what the favorite part of my job still is? It's all that tasting. It never gets old. Now, today I've asked two intrepid tasters, Babak and Gazelle, to join me for this little adventure in chocolate. You guys ready?
Yes.
Great.
Can't wait.
So cacao, the fruit that chocolate is made from, has been paired with other flavors throughout its long history. And it really has been a very long history. There was a recent archaeological dig way deep in the Amazon in Ecuador that found little pottery shards that had been used to make some sort of a cacao drink more than 5,000 years ago. And then about 4,000 years ago, the Olmec tribe from Mexico and Central America, well, they started crafting drinks first from the pulp of the fruit and then eventually from the fermented seeds. And that's when we start to see similarities with today's drinking chocolate. Now, when cacao came to the Mayan and Aztec cultures, that's when all this flavor experimentation really took off. They started crafting drinks that tried to balance that racing bitterness of unsweetened cacao with things like chilies and vanilla and cinnamon. They eventually started adding thickeners like maize and then colorants like annatto and sweeteners like honey and fermented agave sap. And they even were playing around with savory flavors as well. So early on, chocolate was paired with things like cumin and coriander, think sort of mole recipes. And so it went both ways, savory and sweet, right from the beginning. Now, we are going to taste a bar that pays homage to one of those ancient Mayan recipes. You guys want to take a little taste?
Sure. I grab a bigger piece.
Yeah.
So would you be surprised if I told you that there was garlic and a little cilantro in there? You don't really taste them, but it just rounds everything out, and all the flavors meld together beautifully, I think.
Delicious.
Yeah. So the flavor pairings really took off when the Spanish conquistadors took cacao back to Europe, and the drinking chocolate craze swept across Europe. And each new culture that chocolate went into, people started playing around and pairing it with things that were really important to their local cuisines. So the Italians started pairing cacao with long-cooked tomato dishes for sort of body and shine. The French played with all manners of fruit and vegetables. And the Spanish, well, they added it to one of their favorite condiments, picada. So this experimentation with local favorites, it's never really stopped. One of the things that makes my job a lot of fun. So this next bar that we're going to taste was inspired by Spain's favorite summer sipper, the gin and tonic.
Ooh, I like gin
Who
and
knew
tonic.
you could put that in a bar, right? I think you guys will pick up a little juniper for the gin and a little citrus. And then there's like a little crushed Pop Rocks or something in there. It's a secret that gives you a sense of tonic. So that's a fun one. Yeah. So around the 1600s, demand started to outstrip supply. So that pushed cultivation of cacao into new regions, moving west to east and sort of following the waves of colonialization. And that's when that migration started to pick up flavors from all over the world. So you have things like nutmeg, cardamom, allspice, cloves from the Caribbean and the Indonesian spice islands. And then you've got ginger, saffron, aniseed, even green and black peppercorns coming in from India and Southeast Asia. So it just went all across the board, everywhere that it went. People started playing around with flavor pairings and different ways to use chocolate. Now, what is it that makes chocolate such a versatile partner? Well, there are a bunch of reasons. And the first has to do with the fact that there are more than 400 flavor compounds in chocolate. It's more than any other food we know. And if you start to add in the aromatics and things, then it goes up to about 700. So very versatile from the get-go. The second reason has to do with why chocolate melts so well on your tongue. Chocolate's an emulsion, so all the flavor compounds are in the solids, and those are suspended in cocoa butter. Cocoa butter melts at body temperature, so that means that everything is on your tongue melting and melding together. The third reason it has to do with cacao's genetic diversity and how well it will explain the uniqueness of a particular place that it's grown. So chocolate inherently has a very variable flavor profile. It can be fruity, it can be spicy, it can be a little floral, even earthy. And most craft chocolate makers will taste that flavor profile in a particular batch of beans and sort of match it to the ingredients they're thinking of pairing. Now this one plays up the earthiness. This is a bar from Lithuania, and it has porcini mushrooms in it. Ooh. Guys, third one. It's actually really tasty. I love how that little bit of milk powder in there bridges the chocolate, the bittersweet chocolate, and the porcini mushroom together. Very unusual. I love to taste that one. There is also the fact that cacao is extremely malleable in the bean to bar process. Every step along the way, the craft chocolate maker gets to tweak things, and it all affects the flavor in the end. And so chocolate is the perfect platform for all these different flavor profiles. And the last bar that we're going to taste is the Silk Road bar that brings in, I think, something like 11 spices and herbs, even flower petals, and all of them work together with the chocolate.
So beautiful.
Perfect example of how versatile chocolate can be. Thank you, guys, and thank you, too, for being experimental.
Delicious. Thank you.
Thank you.
Fantastic, yeah.